Grand Rising, everyone. Much love, much respect to everyone. We're going to start this off like we always do, playing some music and shouting out the sponsors, each and every one of y'all, man. Hopefully, everybody having a good day. Power to the motherfucking people, man. You know, the name of this stream is The Garden Box with Waketa Marshall and Cliff the Gorilla Gardner. We're going to be talking about gardening today. Hopefully, everybody having a good Friday. Power to the motherfucking people. We're going to start it off like we always do, man. We're going to start it off like we always do. Let's go.
Class in session, so it's time for you to get the notes. The quickest way to sell your soul is when you niggas vote. This shit I'm kicking is forbidden, better listen, bro. A politician preaching love is the biggest joke. See, what they do is use this shit as a tool. Got us focused on these fools and putting shit in our food. Fighting to free your mind is kinda hollow but true. The system make you a zombie if you follow the rules, so we rebel. But not too many live it to tell, till they find the cheat code using digital scales. Paradise is aborted when the mission is failed. Heaven and hell collide like prison and jail. And you don't need religion just to say you awake. You even dumber than you look, you think you came from an ape. Religion needs science, science need religion. One tell a story and the other paint the picture. But listen, nigga, if you dig a little deeper, you can find that little rabbit in the mother of the reaper. I'm the best for a reason. There's a message in the speaker when the cosmos talking. That's a blessing from the ether. One day I met the devil for real and made a deal with him. Told him all I want is the money and kept it real with him. Came in the form of a thought I couldn't build with him. Shit I was selling the fiends was really killing them. Your gun bars ain't much if your gat don't shoot. I'm strapped and bulletproof like the Batman suit. All it take is one snap to have my enemies killed. The laws in space and time, I could bend them at will. Yeah, I'm in the world that some of y'all have not seen, and living on the page that some of y'all cannot read. And right now they probably calling me cheap, cause I decided it's enough and now I finally speak. Tell you the truth, I don't trust people who cheat. It's deeper than having sex, you give birth to deceit. If you see where this is going, this is true as can be. If you lie to the ones you love, then you do it to me. The cold word is rainy night. Niggas get wet outside, but ain't no rain in sight. They wonder where this come from. Ascension when it's all done. No reason to believe in a God. When you become one, you understand. You could get it the same. Niggas will double cross you if you get them the fame. My soul ain't for sale just to get in the game. It's dangerous.
Part 2. Let's go.
Last of my people been driven over the United States for over 700 years, and I carried the Europe. I taught the Europeans the children coming back.
They just wanna keep us asleep. I know this shit suck, but when the fuck when niggas wake up, I know this shit tough. Every other step you take, you get your foot stuck. Cause they go and show you the fly with some niggas pushed up. Religion is a part of the system, my nigga, listen. If you ain't got control of your soul, then you's a victim. The Pope all over the net with politicians. The same politicians who sleeping with little children. Time to make them pay for what they did to the youth. But freedom of speech is nothing when they censoring truth. You ain't gotta show shit when you live in the proof. Giving support to your oppressors, man, you niggas is goofs. time to fight fire with fire. Get on some nigga shit. Time to get back what they stole. All of our innocence. Some people hate the way that I talk. This shit be spicy. But say a bunch of shit that ain't true, it isn't likely. They try to say your vision ain't true, but with your sight see. The best way to tear you apart is through your psyche. I give it to you real. What you need me to say? Ask the world leaders about the oath they secretly take. It's a plan that they got to keep us legally slaves. Paid labor overwhelming when you needed a break. If you think that I'm just talking, then bitch you lost. It's a war going on like Rich vs. Paul. The rich keep getting rich while your broke ass starve. Feeding you little pennies at that punk ass job. Thinking cause you get it in tax, you need that income. Really I'm just stating the facts cause niggas been dumb. Your emotions are controlled by a system. Cause when I make a song full of hate, niggas listen. When I make a song about love, niggas skip it. They both from the soul, so really ain't nothing different. Today you gotta give it a fight to make the hate stop. Niggas on that ignorant shit gon' get a face shot. Believe what you wanna believe. A lot of niggas snakes, only going off of belief. A lot of shit is fake with 2 cans blazing. I'm ready for damnation. So tell a slave master I'm burning the plantation. You fuck niggas like to throw pain but can't take it. So all during war these flames remain sacred. Barrel to the root of your tongue, you niggas tasteless. Lights flying over your head, it ain't a spaceship. The reason why we fully equipped was information. It led us on the path that got us out of the matrix. Unity is power beyond, we should embrace it. But you could never bathe in the truth when you were racist. Speeding off what you was taught, then the brakes slip. Then you see it's nothing you thought, that shit is dangerous. A lot of people dying for what? That shit was aimless. It's kinda like a video game, it took stages. Just make sure these lanes remain nameless. Hood politics part 2, my name dangerous.
Rum Ham, what's good, Rum Ham? Flat motherfucker power to the flat power family, man. Shout out Rum Ham, I see you out there, Solo. Part 3 coming up next. Shout out to my brother Clifton. Garrison, much love and respect, Garrison. Hopefully everything good with you. Rum Sam Ham Solo and my brother Straight Smoke.
Shit getting out of control, I mean we been there. Hate, they disguise it as love, we call it sincere. They took us to a place where ain't none of this shit clear, and we just look stupid, wondering how we get here. This government got us in chains cause they don't love us. They got us separated by gangs over some colors. What hurts more is we keep trusting these motherfuckers and putting bullshit that they say over each other. It's a bad world, many cry in this sad world. A unicorn is compared to a black girl, or any child when you mix it making life swirl. Gems meet a diamond and dance to make the ice swirl. Nigga, don't waste your time trying to hate on me. If you can't deal with your pride, then stay away from me. I don't fuck with none of that dumb shit. You heard that? Don't believe we live on the globe, nigga. The earth flat.
Okay, Chief Taya.
Then take the earth back.
Right now,
really important and make it worth that. Too much time in your hands lead to a dirt nap, but niggas don't keep the same energy to exert that.
What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this, and it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves.
Mind over matter, but none of that'll matter. When in life you're trying to climb and a nigga pull a ladder, believing in the myth when reality is shattered. The lies never end unless you serve it on the platter. America made you a slave, then call you monster. Erase everything that we paved and say we conquered. Willie lynching is a system that really harmed us. It raped women, left children without their fathers. America, land of the free, home of of the great America, cage of the beast, home of a snake. But the fight don't stop when you gone. This shit a marathon. Everything they touched in this world, they made it terraform. The best piece of advice, stay about these pigs sight. Fuck what goes on in the street. Nigga, just live life. You only get one of those, nigga. Don't play with that. Trying to dance away in the dark and never make it back. We got a lot of love in it. Do shit is getting.
Okay, big dog, I'm about to share this right quick. Cliff, I see you're in. You with us, Cliff?
I'm gonna hand it
Yeah,
over to
mic
you
check,
right
mic
after the
check.
song, my brother.
Okay. So I'm just gonna
The
play
First
this for
Americans'
her, and once
Declaration
this is
of
over,
Reclamation
she should be
of
over
our
here.
Identity and Natural Rights. This declaration, dated the accepted and amended July 4th, 2019, is in response to the intrusion, genocide, gentrification, indoctrination, and reclassification of the over 100 million strong original peoples of North, Central, South America, and adjoining islands over a period of 4 or more centuries. The American Aboriginal peoples described in this declaration are hereby declared the free peoples of the so-called Western Hemisphere and the Americas,
Shout out.
meaning clear of obstruction, unrestrained in movement, liberty of action or expression, not holding strictly to rule or form, of nations, not subject to foreign rule or to despotism, based on principles of civil liberty, sense of giving without cost and free of charge and cost. This declaration does not include the so-called Native Americans, Africans, European, Hindu European, or Asian descendants, only the American Aborigines and mistakenly the American Negro and their descendants. Article 1. All so-called Black people in the Americas are not descendants of Africa, and this misclassification of our identity, i.e. colored, Negro, Black, and African American, is the result of social programming and indoctrination, and does not and will not be accepted by the autonomous people in any manner, whether it be personally, socially, politically, or so-called legally. And any attempt to continue such reckless behavior will be seen as a conspiracy to commit a fraud, a hate crime, and defamation against the original peoples of the Western Hemisphere under international law and the American Constitution. The U.S. corporation, its nation states, affiliates, and sponsors have been committing many sorts of crimes against the original or Aborigine people of this land without as much as one warning for the genocide, rape, lynching, displacement, and scientific experiments. There are many documented cases. The list of nefarious and criminal activity is almost too long to imagine, and there must be an accounting and remedy for. By our estimates, the greatest majority of so-called white African and European descendants in the U.S. believe that the original or Aborigine people misclassified as Black were all brought here on slave ships by their ancestors, not realizing that we were here long before their ancestors existed. And the only reason that they believe the lie is because of the great effort to cover up factual history. Article 2. There are millions of acres of land held in trust by the governing bodies of the Americas that are the birthright of the original or Aborigine people of the land, and we demand that such land be returned in good faith and without obstruction, harassment, or oversight. Since the original or Aborigine people have been systematically removed and gentrified from our lands by fraudulent practices and intimidation, we feel it would be in the best interest of all involved to give back our land and allow us to live in peace. No exceptions. Article 3. We, as the original or Aborigine peoples of the commonly known as the Western Hemisphere, including, but not limited to, the Americas and surrounding islands being of sound mind, body, and spirit, reserve all rights to self-govern to the best of our ability without the need for regulation, obstruction, oversight, or harassment from the governing bodies. We will operate as a responsible, autonomous nation, and all treaties, trade agreements, tariffs, etc., thereof on our land must be approved by us alone. No exceptions. Article 4. We, as the original and Aboriginal peoples of what is commonly known as the Western Hemisphere, reserve all rights to travel anywhere and any time of our choosing within the Western Hemisphere without obstruction, harassment, corporate identification, or citizenship of any state sponsored territories. No exceptions. Article 5. We, as the original and Aboriginal peoples, have been subject to what is commonly known as paper genocide or paper terrorism by the U.S. state, local governing bodies, and their affiliate Masonic partners' orders, i.e., policy writers, enforcers, and other corrupt actors. We will no longer accept your aggressive and, in most cases, detrimental paper, computer rulership in all of its forms. We are the original free peoples of the land, aka the first Americans. We are not and will not be your citizens nor property in any form, assaulting and attacking our people on an individual or group basis by anyone, including your citizens, your policy enforcers, or any of your corporate partners or affiliates will be considered a hate crime and will be dealt with as such. No exceptions. Article 6. All Aborigine, man, woman, or child have a natural right to protect themselves in any circumstances, and any attempt to deny this right will be dealt with in the most severe manner possible unless deemed otherwise by the appropriate council. No exceptions. Article 7. No Aborigine man, woman, or child will be enumerated, taxed, or brought into any other judicial or administrative body other than an Aboriginal council. No exceptions. Article 8. No Aborigine man, woman, or child are part of any so-called sovereign citizen or extremist group or movement of any kind, and any attempt by any individual, group, organization, or governmental agency to connect us to any will be considered a hate crime and defamation. No exceptions. Article 9. All Aborigine men, women, and children are free, born living beings and cannot be considered, identified, or treated as property or dead by the U.S. government or any other entities anywhere on land, air, or body of water. No exceptions. Article 10. No Aborigine men, women, and children can be used as debt or collateral by the U.S. government or any other entities anywhere on any land, air, or body of water. No exceptions. Article 11. We, as the original and Aboriginal peoples of the so-called Americas, retain all rights to any and all resources that we deem necessary to sustain life, liberty, and the development of our people in any and all regards without obstruction, harassment, or oversight by any entity other than an Aboriginal council. No exceptions.
Well, my sisters and my brothers, let me stop sharing. Mic check, mic check.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask my good sister Waketa and Gorilla Gardner to take it away, and I'm going to mute myself.
Greetings, everyone. How are you this evening? Thank y'all for coming. Thank you so much, Cliff, for joining us again. I've been anxiously awaiting this conversation because the project that you have at hand is extremely important. And not really going to ask too many questions. I'm just going to yield the floor to you so you can do your presentation. How are you doing today?
Oh, life is good. Life is good. Yeah, I'm out here at the Mystic Lake property right now. My daughter's out here with all of our people having having a celebration of life for one of these children. So I might get pulled on some at some point to go in here, but just to let y'all know, you know. Yeah, so we have a really awesome opportunity right now, that it just keeps unfurling. It's like it's like the flower that just does not stop opening, right? And what it's looking like is that we're gonna have a really amazing opportunity to connect our people nationwide. Uh, and what it's looking like is through the garden box, the guard box, you
Okay.
know, and so the garden box being, you know, the medium to where we're able to grow food, grow herbs, grow curb appeal with low to no money invested into it, depending upon what the status might be for an individual or the region they may be in. But as long as you got access to rain or water, it's looking like a garden box is going to come to a hood near you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Are you
Yeah.
going to be targeting um food deserts particularly at first?
Well, so the game plan that we have in Minnesota, um, it's the location that we started this garden box movement here. It was basically like a high violent, high crime, really mixed bag, um, uh, as they say, minority, majority population, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is that when I went to go plant the garden there, originally, it was literally on the neutral line of the war zone in Minneapolis called the highs and the lows. So anybody who knows about North Minneapolis in its last decade is that there has been a staggering amount of maimings and murders and disappearances in the North Minneapolis area from this war. And it's just so strange because in the lows, there's like no rules. There's no rules to the game. There's nothing regulating the lows. It's but then when you get to the lower end of the lows, you're hitting one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in the metro, Southeast Minneapolis, and I'm sorry, Southwest Minneapolis, where some of the most uh, influential elitists stay, you know, during the summer months here in Minnesota. But then it also connects to downtown Minneapolis, the lower lows. But when you get to the highs, it's like there's this coordinated effort of of all kinds of smuggling. You know, I wouldn't call it hustling 'cause I don't want to throw dirt on such a great name, but um, you know, I'm a hustler. I hustle uh real hard and real strong, you know, and it's not a bad thing what I do. But now all these snares that are set up all over our community in North Minneapolis, that's why I chose this specific area. But the interesting thing is that shortly after I chose this area, if anybody has heard of this name in the news, Don Samuels, he's not one of, you know, he's not one of us, right? He's a Jamaican brother, but he's not. He's more of those well-to-do Jamaican brothers, right? But this guy, he literally has been calling down a RICO charge on the community for 4 years now. And as I have been combating him on social media, telling him to, you know, bring his brown ass out on the block and do something instead of sitting inside of his house complaining about what's taking place around him, right? And nonetheless, he got his dream came true where at the beginning of this last year, I'm sorry, in the middle of 2024, there was an indictment set out throughout all of Minneapolis where nearly over 500 of our people were scooped up for a 10 to life charge in that immediate area that I opened up the space the space at. But the goal was to get into the middle of the friction in the city, to produce life where a lot of death was taking place, and to highlight this issue, but to create free food, free beverages, and hygiene supplies for everybody who walks by. Um, should a lot of these people not been incarcerated, I'm pretty sure a lot of them would have stopped by and they would have helped me protect the space. But because the RICO charge took place, homelessness came through shortly after, threatened the life of me and my children. We had low to no community to come support. There is no police state in the city anymore. Um, and a lot of the violators that are hired, to do community service, really just cannot be trusted. And all of them are descendants of our people. But at the end of the day, so we are now back in this location. It was very unfortunate that the homeless person that the encampment leader that took the garden from me in a violent way was also one of us, but he had got so strung out on that Fetty, or fentanyl, what the streets are calling Fetty, that Fetty Wap, that I mean, he was willing to pull a knife on me, the very one that was feeding him, right? And take it because he just felt he could do better. But nonetheless, I mean, it's sad what happened to him, but we now are we have a whole host of people who have come around. We're going to be taking shifts 24 hours a day, reactivating the space. Um, like I just wrote in the grant, we fed 500 upwards or over 500 people within 40 days of developing this garden last year. Soup, sandwiches, chips, hygiene kits and all that type of stuff. Literally 500 people, sometimes two or three people will repeat two or three times, right? But nonetheless, within that 40 days, I told them, I said, uh, by having this open sooner and having it open longer, we're looking to do three, if not four times that number from this one space from North Minneapolis, feeding and getting resources to upwards of 2,000 people, right? And so, but with that said, this space also it's what I call like a spark plug in the community, right? And so, in order to get an engine started, how many spark plugs do you need, right? At least 4 to 6. And so, being that this is the first one, we're looking at expanding to have three more exactly like it at three different sections of the North Minneapolis region, so that we're bringing, we can start our engine. We can really get this thing going. Uh, I mean, is there any questions that you might have about this movement, or like other than why we place it there?
Yes, I actually was interested in the part of the story when the Minnesota Vikings approached you and what how you collaborated with them.
Okay, so the Minnesota Vikings actually did not approach me personally. Um, I myself, being a life fan of Minnesota sports, and purchasing the merch, what I'm saying, in order to represent the home state. Uh, I went ahead and took a section of my garden this last year and grew a variety of vegetables and fruits that would actually match the mascot colors of the Minnesota Vikings, purple and gold, baby, right? And so with that said, when I did this, all these vegetables and fruits don't stay that color. Some of them do, but nonetheless, we had got started so late in the season that nothing really had developed into like its full bloom. But nonetheless, we ended up having a section of garden that represented the Vikings colors, and we had some memorabilia in the garden, but all that was destroyed and taken during the whatever. Anyway, but with that said, about around the same time, I was building a stronger relationship with the Science Museum of Minnesota. And so my team and I, we had set out over a 2-year period to identify different businesses and organizations along the Mississippi River. Reason being is because Chief Yanash down there in Tennessee with Chief Tia and um, operating down there in Tennessee, we had made the decision. Chief Yanash was like, "Hey, Chief Cliff, you gotta get a plan for us. How are we gonna handle this? What do you see?" And I was like, "How do you see us networking nationally as a people?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, it's funny you asked that." I said, because I haven't been envisioning our people developing clean energy transportation to be on the river. So if you on this call or you hear this call or you hear this stream at any point, look at our brother that's up there in Illinois right now that's making plastiline and plastiliesel. He's making plastic gas and plastic diesel that's actually operating in functioning vehicles. Now, do we want to keep extorting the whole concept of plastic when black plastic is what's destroying? Imagine that. Black plastic, right? Of course they did that, is destroying a lot of our ecosystem. But nonetheless, for all y'all who are interested in green energy, please, 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 please get at me, because we have some engineers who are really, really working around river transportation, especially for supporting the North Star Freedmen, connecting to the Southern tribes from the north. But anyway, with that said, so Chief Yanash and I were really focusing. Once I said the river, Chief Yanash was like, "Well, I got mine," because he's down there off the Tiger River, off of the Mississippi, right? And so he can channel right in. He's on high ground, and I've seen his land. His land is superior to many. There's nothing really that can harm his land, right? And he's sitting on a wealth of so many of our relatives, right? Water and earth. But anyway, with that said, so I had to find my location in the north, and but as we were exploring this whole concept of connecting the north and the south, green transportation, using the riverway, um, uh, I started searching for different organizations and corporations that could really sponsor this type of thing at a large level. So when it comes to education, uh, they are second to none. The the Science Museum has somehow infiltrated the entire public school system of the state of Minnesota. Imagine that, where every single school in the state of Minnesota takes a field trip at least every few years, if not every year, to the Science Museum, right? Except for, in poverty-stricken, quote unquote, minority majority regions. So I found out that being an indigenous person, you get free access to the science museums across the country. So all of us can go into a science museum, just literally tell them who you are. You ain't gotta show them your dowels, you ain't gotta give them any type of native card or any license or paperwork. You just go in there and explain to them who you are. You register yourself, your children, your spouse, and then you have free access. So I have visited the Science Museum so much now that I mean, if I would have paid, it would have probably been upwards of like probably about like 11 grand by now over the last couple of years. But nonetheless, and all the people I brought between 10 to 30 people at a time to go to the Science Museum, and go research and study and see the Omni Theater together. But anyway, so as I was exploring all these partners, the Science Museum ended up being like the golden goose because it's the other gift that keeps on giving because every time I thought that we done met like most of the cultures in Minnesota, the Science Museum has me experience a whole new culture, right? Because we have over 98 languages within a 90-mile radius of George Floyd Square, where George Floyd was murdered. So let that sink in. From where George Floyd was murdered, we have from a 90-mile radius, 98 languages and counting, right?
That's amazing.
It's out of this world. Like the class of students that I have right now are Somali, Hmong, Afghani, and four of us, five of us, right? And so, but with that said, uh, and I just had a young Hmong man call me about an hour and a half ago and asked me if I'd help him on a project to track all the gardens in Minneapolis. And so, but nonetheless, I mean, it's just so diverse. The Science Museum was helping me really tap in. So the Science Museum started really kicking it with me harder and harder. And when I developed this curriculum called the Know Me Farm Boards, capital N, lowercase I, capital M, lowercase I, and NOMI is the abbreviation to North Minneapolis,
Right.
and SOMI is the abbreviation to South Minneapolis. So I have a
Okay.
movement called Know Me and So Me, right?
Hmm.
And on the north side, we're the Know Me homies, get to know me, homie, you know, and but with that said, around garden gnomes, ecology protectors of the forest and the fields. But so with that said, the Science Museum loved the curriculum so much they helped me install it into two freedom schools last summer. Minnesota has the largest population of freedom schools. We have 8 freedom schools, I believe, in our metro, and I was serving two of them. And so with that said, while I was serving these two freedom schools, um, I'm always caped up in some sort of like Vikings. I got my Vikings medallion that was given to me for my chiefdom by an Ojibwe leader, and I got Vikings for days. I got Vikings glasses, Vikings every purple and gold, like royalty, right? Royal colors, because I believe in the color purple, purple rain, all that. So, so with that said, the Science Museum came and helped me do some carpentry work. They had their EJ so inside the Science Museum in Minnesota, they have a education center called the Kitty Anderson Learning Labs. And it's a K through 12 after school, before and after school program for um, the Ramsey County, the St. Paul region, which is like a mixed bag of cultures, but and it could be from you know third world state in one side of the city and first class in the other, right? Mansions and but anyway, with that said, they all these children hang out together at the Kitty Anderson after school. So they were coming to my garden last summer and doing Know Me farm boards, learning how to use tools, teaching them how to, all these different. I have a curriculum called E-STEAM J, which is ecology, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And the J is when you activate in the community is justice. So E-STEAM J. But with that said, so they were activated in the community. They were exploring the E-Steam curriculum, but with the J, they were doing it. They were in the community cleaning up trash, learning how to turn that trash into building material, um, working with, different things. But they were so inspired by the garden boxes that I had built out of pallets, right? And we had built them in all different kinds of designs. We had garden boxes that were fences, garden boxes that were trellises, garden boxes that were pergolas, garden boxes, compost garden box. I mean, like there's all kinds, it's like bubble with shrimp, but with pallets, right?
Mhm.
And so they went back and they were just raving about this upcycling feature and how we could really explore this as a metropolitan because of all the pallets. I mean, there's millions of pallets, right?
Right.
So so with that said, I mean, bro, I mean, when it comes to wood, lumber just shot up out the roof. It's like it was 84 cents for a 2x4 8 years ago, and it's $4 in some change after tax for a 2x4 right now. That's like
Yeah,
inflation
I've seen $5 and $6. Yeah.
you see, in pallet, I can my trailer, I got a 26-foot trailer, right? 7 feet
Mhm.
wide, it's an auto transporter. I can carry 13,000 pounds. I can stack them as high as I can, right? And strap them all
Mhm.
down. But the thing is, I mean, like everybody else is like burning them. They're doing all anyway. So the Science Museum was raving about this. So then behind the scenes, there's this organization that's called Train Technology, TRANE. When when I was first introducing the curriculum to the Science Museum, Train Technologies was there. They absolutely loved it. Man, oh man. And Train Technologies is a multi-billion-dollar organization worldwide. Well, there's one white dude, Tom. He's like, well, Cliff, the things that you do are just so fantastic. I can see in front of all the children, all of them. I was like, do you realize who you're talking to right now? Well, what do you mean, Cliff? Well, I'm like, man, I'm the most politically incorrect timber nigga on the face of this earth. If you want to put me in front of all these children, just know they gonna get the real me. I'm not gonna hide. I'm not gonna hide nothing. I'm gonna be the same guy I'm in the hood with the children I'm with that I would be with the children that y'all work with. And he's like, see, that's what I love about you. He's like, your identity is who you are, right? I was like, Tom, you don't even know me. And he's like, I want to get to know you. So this guy like started almost damn near stalking me, like, going through my web pages, trying to get on my social media, and it was real weird. But then I'm and I'm not saying he was a creep or anything. He was just very intrigued by the work that I did because he just came from a different world, right? And I know the world he came from because I used to serve cocaine to his people, right? And so, um, but with that said, he ended up telling the CEO's best friend about me, the CEO of the business. And the CEO's best friend retired from underneath him, but his friend worked all over the world for him. Well, so this friend ended up wanting to do something in his retirement to give back to the community. And long story short, Tom was like, Cliff the gardener. I mean, this guy is great. You need to go see him, et cetera, blase woo doo woo. So the man hit up my business account on my webpage and growusllc.com, right? And he inboxed, and then my business manager hit me up, was like, Cliff, I looked this guy up and you might want to hit him back. So I did, and he invited me to come teach food systems to the environmental justice students at the Science Museum with him. But he didn't know the connection that was already there. So he and I just organically connected. And then it was just so funny because one day, Tulani, who is the executive director of the Science Museum, was like, hey, it would be since you're doing this food systems thing, it'd be really cool if you brought this guy we know named Cliff the gardener in. I mean, he's got this incredible thing on, blah blah blah. And he was like, I wanted to bring Cliff in, but I just didn't know how or what the avenue was, and it just worked out that way. So Tulani, the ED, and the CEO's best friend, retired best friend from Train, brought me in, and then they had a surprise for me. After we taught the class, all the students were like, "We want one of your gardens on the St. Paul side," and da 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 da. And I was like, "Well, I already got it all plotted out. All we need to do survey the land, et cetera, et cetera." And so when the students left the class, Tulani was like, "Yo, Cliff, we got a special offer for you." I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Your most favorite team out of all sports came to us and wants to work with us." I was like, "The Minnesota Twins?" They're like, "No, the Vikings." I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "What makes you think?" And so anyway, we just goofed around. We had a great time with it. And Tulani's a islander, a real dark pigment Trinidadian type brother, right? And so as we were rapping and just talking about it, he was saying that the Vikings came to him and said, "We have been investing money into the Science Museum for so long as sponsors. We would like our food systems program to be activated at the Science Museum of all things, right?" And they were like, "What do you think?" And they said there's only one guy that we know to call, Cliff the Gardner. And so they threw me out there, and then the Vikings were like, "Well, what would this look like?" It would just be where they would sponsor like a food systems class situation with the students, where myself and Randall, the CEO's friend, so Randall, he and I would develop a curriculum to work together, and then Grow Us would have a contract with Train Technologies Science Museum sponsored by the Vikings, and then the Vikings want some sort of garden feature on the back end of the Science Museum, right? So, but the interesting thing is this is that Tulani, I I don't I'm still feeling him out, but the interesting thing is that he doesn't want me building the garden box behind the Science Museum. He wants the gardeners of the Science Museum to do that. And so I was like, well, I felt kind of disrespected by that, because you throw me out there this much, but then you're not gonna, utilize the work that I'm doing and advance the concepts of upcycling, et cetera, et cetera. 'Cause I mean, like honestly, they will charge the game, probably like $5,000-6,000 for a garden box built out of 4x4s, right? And but it'll cost them maybe like $600. And that's why, you know, it's kind of like art. Art's
Right.
not expensive, right? But when a billionaire puts their money behind it, it becomes expensive. But that's just how they hide their money. But the moment that they move the money, the piece ain't worth shit no more. Or people ain't my American. The piece ain't worth nothing no more once the billionaire removes the money. So it's like when I used to be a hustler, please mind my American, but I'd always say I want to come in and fuck the game up. But back when I was a dope dealer. So I would go find the cheapest prices and I'd knock it down lower than what anybody else could do. And then once it was down to a level where it was reasonable for everybody, I quit. And then that way, murder would decrease and people were happy, everybody was eating. But then, with gardening for the last 16 years, I just been giving out the food for free. Because I'm like, the best way to get someone addicted to crack is by giving it to them for free. Well, my food is better than crack, right? My daughters say that my cherry tomatoes taste like fruit, right? And I'm like, well, it is fruit. But anyway, but with that said, uh I felt a little offended by Tulani. And so I just put a word out there to the creator. And I'm just like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm not jealous and I don't feel some sort of way, but it would be nice if you moved and made it so that we could put the garden boxes that we've been doing out there and get it really sponsored by the Vikings. Matter of fact, it'd be really cool if the garden was more sponsored by the Vikings than Science Museum, really, right? And then it'd be amazing, Lord, if the garden was more of like a tailgate space, and that the students would rather be there than the stadium itself,
Oh,
right?
that would be awesome.
We
Yeah.
and so that's literally a prayer I put out there to Yeshua. So next thing you know, Alabama, Chief Alabama, you know, uh, he must have felt his ear tickling this time. Got to rapping with Miss Stephanie, right? Matriarch
Right.
Stephanie, and one thing leads to another where it's like with what Stephanie has going on in life really truly would not only complement what would take place right here in Minnesota, but it's something that would be replicated um, out there in Ohio with matriarch Miss Dunn, right? And out there in Atlanta with matriarch Mama Kali, right? Out there in Tennessee with matriarch Chief Tia, right? And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody get one now, right? Because with that said, by working with Stephanie, the doors fling open.
And
You see what I'm saying?
to clarify, Stephanie is the president of the NFL Sister Wives and Mothers. So, and they're having their conference as we speak this weekend.
True. So with that said, I didn't know that. So
Mhm.
when I was talking to Chief Alabama Miss Stephanie, I just figured that she was part of a a group or because I don't even know who the NFL wives were, nothing. Like even when I told my business manager this, she was like, she's like NFL wives. Why you want to go for grants with them? Why don't you just tell them to fund you? And I was like, I don't even know who they are. What do you mean? So, but anyway, but with that said, because she's like, there should be enough money within the pool of who the NFL wives are that they should be able to make moves without grants. I was like, but Kim, that's not what it's about. They are, from my understanding, after talking to Stephanie, they are a nonprofit that makes power moves for pretty much our people, right? But for low income regions or things that are needed to be done in any livelihood regions and also the fashion shows, right?
Right.
So anyway, but with that said, me not knowing who Stephanie was by title, I got to know Stephanie by individual, right?
Mhm.
And so when I shared this vision, when I did a vision casting to her, I was under the impression there was somebody that she was going to have to go talk to from the way that she was speaking to me, right?
Right.
But I didn't know it was her board. I thought, but but with that said, so when I went to AI, because I'm a AI developer, I work with small language, large language models. I work with some of these people around developing my large language model. And so as I've been developing my large language model, I have a very large small language processor right now of information right now. But so when I went into the AI and started really discussing the concept of working with Miss Stephanie, because Miss Stephanie was like, you sound like somebody who knows what you're doing. You should come down here and do something in Miami this August. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh. I mean, she's like, what would it take? I was like, well, we would need a nonprofit, we would need a body of students, and then we would, that were people that were their staff, right? And then we would need people from the community who could, monitor the space during the times I'm not there, you're not there, right? She's like, well, we are a nonprofit. She's like, so I have access to that. We have plenty of different groups that we work with that have children, and she's like, and there's plenty of community members that would come and help what you're doing, Cliff. And I was like, oh, okay, well, sounds like we got cat in the bay. Let's do it, right? So that's how that worked. Alibama can testify to that. So me being who I am, he knew I was gonna do what I was gonna do. I went back, chopped it up with my staff, chopped it up with my grant writers, chopped it up with my business manager. None of them could believe that the NFL wives would want to work with me. I'm like, why? Like, what do you mean? What was wrong with me? And they're like, well, Cliff, you are high profile, but not like that kind of high profile. I was like, what you mean by I'm not that kind of high profile? Like, man, I done played football and basketball with the best of them out here, right? That went to the NFL, NBA, et cetera, from my schools that I attended. I used to go play against college students when they weren't playing for their colleges just to have fun when I was a dope dealer, right? And so it's like without pads, and I give these guys all kinds of injuries, and I never got injured by them. Nonetheless, so with that said, when I went and tapped into my AI, I put in the information that Stephanie sent to me, and the AI was even like, "Do you realize who this is, Cliff?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And AI was like, "This is the actual president of the NFL wives," and and gave me the whole title of what it is, right? And I'm just like, "Oh." I was like, "So Stephanie really uh was very humble during the phone call then." And AI was like, "I'd say so." Right? So, but nonetheless, as we got to really looking at it from a lens of like not exploiting not where she's not exploiting me, I'm not exploiting her, right? But nonetheless, we're working together as family from across the nation, right? And when we started looking at that perspective, it's just really interesting because as Steffi and I started like conversing through messaging, it really felt like I was talking to my sister. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like my sister Jamila, just or my sister Tachara or my sister all my biological family members. It felt like that's who I was talking to when we were messaging. Nonetheless, um the plan that I've come up with between my team, AI, and conversing with Stephanie, it's looking like the very thing that I prayed for is going to come true like within the next 6 to 7 months,
That is
right?
awesome.
And so with that said, I wanted to call it around, you can call it purple elephant for all I care, but I wanted to call it resilience community or resilience uh network or infrastructure or whatever, but Alibama's like really tied to the garden box. But the thing is that I feel like it's something beyond him that's even calling him to that, right? Because there's other people who are calling me and asking me to come install these garden locally. Like there's some schools that want me to come install them. My mama told me to come put some in her backyard, so we did. Um, uh, and a couple now people in the my sister wanted me to do it, so then my sister even advanced it, and she she turned my garden box into a worm hotel with elevators and all kinds of this. It is weird, and but nonetheless, it's like Earth ships. When an Earth ship goes to another culture or another society, it advances because of the hands when it passes through the hands of the people of that culture, it evolves, right?
I
And
get that.
so the garden boxes started with with my ex came to me and said, Cliff, when we were together, she was like, wouldn't it be cool if you took pallets, cut them down, and made them like window boxes for flowers? You could hand them out to neighbors and put them up. And I was like, actually, that would be dope. So as I was plotting on that, I got to thinking, like, Well, what if, because keep having this problem with the rabbits, right? What if I built a fence with the pallets? Like a whole fence all the way around the garden, right? And then what if I turned the fence into a garden box to sell and just start growing food out of the fence? That'd be amazing. Then the rabbits could eat from the fence, right? Low
Right.
hanging fruit. And I don't need it, and if the community wants to pick from it, they can too. But then when I had the AmeriCorps interns come, I had 26 interns to start with, and I told them all that they had to think of something with these pallets. Wow, the things that they came up with. And they built it too, right? We built all of it. It's all in the garden right now. It's in 3 different spaces throughout the city what they built. And but with that said, I felt like we hit platinum. Like we struck transparent gold, And but with that said, the value has to be put on it because there's no value on it yet, right?
Right.
So if we were able to keep the value down on it, where the cost of it did not get exploited, right? But that the commodity that it is did, food would grow everywhere.
And
Like it,
that's my attraction to what you're doing because especially being a native of Atlanta and how over the years you see less and less food that's actually being grown and the children are more and more ignorant of where food come from. And that's what I'm really excited about. We got to bring that back to our communities. We got to bring that back to the children. So in the event that things do go left, we're not out here panicking. We know what to do to sustain ourselves. So that's why I'm so excited about your program. Did we lose him?
Sister Wakita, I think he dropped off.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
Let's see if
Yeah,
he.
if he has to get reconnected, I was just the same with Mama Collie. If there was some Q&A and people just raise your hand, if you can hear me, then I can unmute you. Rashid, if you would be so kind, maybe to interact with Wakita until Cliff. I see he's just now getting back on the screen. So it's been a
okay,
good
my
hour.
bad.
Yeah, can you hear
My
us, Cliff?
apologies. Hmm.
Yeah, we saw you got bumped off. I was just opening it up for people wanting to ask questions if they raised their hand. Lois was already unmuted. If you still wanted to go, Lois, and then Rashid, if you were next.
this is Sister Lois. Brother Cliff. I had kind of
Hello, Mrs.
heard
Dunn.
how you been. Let's go
All right,
Browns.
all right.
But anywho, you know what my thing is. Let's go Browns. But I got you. But I don't really have a question. I just wanted to make a comment when you were talking about the Earth ships. I did look that up because I had no idea what you was talking about when you first introduced those words, and now I do. And I'm on board with what they do. I looked at their website, and I will be ordering their books because they have one for the gardening and then one for actually how to set up, your earth ships, and different architectural components too, and all that. So I'm going to order those books. So I just wanted to let you know I really appreciate that information, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, volume 1, 2, and 3 are great, but
Mm-hmm.
another one, it goes over a lot of people's head, but even just like getting to know ordering the engineering book of it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because even as you get to know the codes and get to understanding like what it's gonna take,
Right.
not only to operate it, but to explain it to the municipality, you
Right.
know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that the engineering, so volume 1, 2, and 3 are great. I would say I'd
I
say
think there was
volume
one
3 would
about
be
gardening or something else too, because I kind of tapped on the gardening part. with it, like to do an atrium or something to that point. So, but I know I do have the volume one that I'm going to order for sure, just to, get initiated to the information.
And that's beautiful because now in the garden, are you a current homeowner? Like, or do you have like
No, I'm
a
not.
house?
No, no, I do
Do
not.
you
No,
do you have anybody who does have a house?
I do here in Ohio. Yes, I do. Hmm.
But reason why I was gonna say is that like you don't have to have lumber and glass to have an
Right,
atrium.
right.
You can have PVC pipe and
Hmm.
plastic,
Right. I saw that
Mhm.
on their website. Hmm.
or even pallets.
Hmm.
Ah, right.
Yeah, I even like the tires. I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
You know the tire, but you know that right there is like I'm a tire pounder.
Hmm.
I mean I flip and love building tire walls. I don't know what
Hmm.
it is about it. It's just like
Hmm.
I just like swinging the sledgehammer, but it's not for everybody.
Right. Right.
You know, and it like and that's where a lot of people go to build an earthship, and then the earthship cavity ends up there because it's like, oh shit.
Hmm. Hmm. There's some daggone work
Hey,
here.
my back.
Hmm.
Everything cramping up on me every
Hmm.
20
Hmm.
seconds, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, but once you get through that thresh, like because you just
Hmm.
gotta get the body acclimated to working again, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
With good posture, taking care of yourself, eating good, staying hydrated, etc. But yeah, pounding tires ain't for the
Faint of
it
heart.
ain't it ain't yeah, it ain't for the faint of heart. No,
Hmm.
but you can call on me.
Okay.
Shoot.
Yep. I got you. It's gonna be the Browns
But
Incorporated, but anywho, that's all right.
but then you can also see the value of it, right?
Right. I
Like as
did.
you start to study it and you're like
Right.
$350 per square foot, man, you're out your damn mind.
Hmm.
But then
Hmm.
but when you look at it though, like you never have to pay for utilities again.
Right. Hmm.
You might have to invest into like two or three solar panels
Panels.
again, or maybe
Hmm.
like a
Hmm.
couple batteries over time.
Right. Hmm.
But
Yep.
overpaying a monthly bill
Hmm.
constantly,
Right.
I'd rather have a credit card bill that I'm paying $10 a month to, right?
Excuse me. I really, hello. Can anyone hear
Hey,
me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mama Carla.
Okay. I'm sorry that I am interrupting, but I just got on my phone. Um, my internet was knocked out. We have a heavy storm here, and all my lights and everything went out, and I was able to get on my phone. So I can't really see who's here, and so I just wanted to. I missed like what the last 20 minutes of.
Did we lose her?
It looks like she muted herself. Okay.
Okay. She,
I think Rashid may have been next, at least. If y'all raise your hands, I'm going to mute again. If you had a question, Rashid.
Well, no, but yeah, I will have one. You called me 3 times. Brother, I've been enjoying the presentation. I don't know what an earth ship is. Can you describe that, please? Oh, he's gone?
It
did he
looks
drop
like he
again?
got knocked out too.
Right.
Essentially, an Earthship is a sustainability platform, Rashid. And actually, we do want to talk with you that in a future time when you have some time to just come and talk and interview you, obviously, about the Black Farmers Complaint. But this concept, and it is a manufactured process, sometimes the construction materials could be using earthen, say, for example, Pueblo Designs down in Taos, New Mexico, is where some of this is headquartered. Or as he was talking about before he dropped, using tires, recycling tires. the point of the process of an Earthship is the sustainability and the reclaiming of certain materials like tires, etc. Also incorporating what be
I got
considered
that. My question,
a greenhouse. Go ahead.
yeah, what's the utility? What do you do with it?
Well, as he was getting to discuss the prospects of you not even having to pay for utilities, including reclamation of water, electricity, that's where I'd rather him go into responding if he gets back on. But I just was giving you the overall concept of what is an Earth ship. It is an actual patented trademark type way of constructing a structure. Now, there are other people that may say
Are we
that they
talking
can
about a
use
house?
it could be any type of structure. Now, we're talking about incorporating in our outreach for people getting on the land, whether they're traditional home buyers or even looking at commercial farming, combining high tunnel, greenhouses, etc.
Very good.
By the way, he hadn't
All right. Well,
mentioned
thank
that,
you.
but he also involves hempcrete as a medium. I'm sure you're familiar with hemp as a crop, but he is also designing
Yep.
hempcrete as a construction protocol. So there's tiny homes concept. There's enough, there's a plethora of usage that could potentially come from it. But essentially incorporating a earthship in what you're providing as housing or as a community, he calls it a resilience hub. That could be a first responder situation. It could assist in reclamation of rainwater, fresh water. I mean, and again, I don't want to speak out of turn because I'm not very in depth on understanding it. I'm just listening to a lot of what Cliff has shared over previous conversations. But the concept of an earthship it's kind of cutting edge, Rashid. So it's not something that's being embraced in local building codes and municipalities, etc. And again, remember, if you're taking people off the grid and they could be generating the same approach that they're doing with solar, wind, and other sources of generating electricity, and then providing the excess back to the grid. So if you're completely off grid, and like he said, if you even incorporated some solar panels, you could be generating revenue by supporting the grid itself while you're living in sustainability. I'm gonna
I
Hello.
got
mute
it. Thank
here
you.
and
May
try to
I
see if I
speak?
can get directly to Cliff. Hold on a second. I'm gonna mute. Go ahead, Mama Collie.
Oh, thank you. Well, I keep getting knocked off because there was even an emergency broadcast talking about the severity of the weather that is right here. But I did want to say that the Earthships, I had talked with Cliff extensively about the Earthships. Uh, I had a tenant some years back who actually took that whole course that out there in Taos, New Mexico. And he had actually given certain classes right here in Georgia and in Alabama on building those earthships. And I wanted to say to Cliff, I think he's back now. Is he? I
Yes,
wanted
ma'am.
to say to Cliff that, we had talked about doing it here, but also I had wanted to, I don't know what you talked about as far as that possibility with the Science Museum and the Minnesota Vikings, because you and I had talked about it. And we had talked about the possibility of doing something like that with the Falcons.
Yep. So actually, as a matter of fact, you are just so amazing because I forgot that we had that conversation. I was just explaining before you got on, Mama Kali, that I went and had a one-on-one with the creator about wanting a little more action around what's happening with the Vikings in gardening here at home, right?
Right.
because it almost felt like Science Museum was trying to utilize me,
Mm-hmm.
for street cred, right?
Right. Right.
And
Well,
and it's
they
and,
use
and
whenever they can.
it's okay, but it's not okay. So, but if it's okay with the creator, I'm okay with it.
Right.
Cause I'm his. I'm his. I'm not nobody else's. That's my boss. That's my master. That's my friend, my confidant. So with that said, I went to him. Now, obviously, it wasn't okay with him, right?
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, because Alibama brought Miss Stephanie along, right? And
Right.
Miss Stephanie is one of y'all's own, and it's something that I was completely clueless to. I had no idea even who the association was. I didn't know the family members of the NFL had coupled together. But then when Stephanie sent me her profile, right? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
my video ain't on. Here, let me get it on. When so Stephanie has sent me we've been communicating through messaging, but when she sent me her website and I read it, I was like, I gotta read this to my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my Lord, wow, wow, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I read it to my daughters and I was like, what do y'all think? And they're like, wow, she's been through a lot, Dad. I was like, man, if you ask me, that the creators got her back. And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, she's a freaking superhero. It's like, look at her. Like as she stands there like Miss America or Captain, whatever you call her, right? But with that said, but as I learned who she was before that through AI, like how she had stood up for her husband,
Mm-hmm.
right? When he got a concussion. When she stood up for Trayvon Martin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm always on my Trayvon Martin. I've been wearing a hoodie since I was, 5, 6 years old, as soon as I learned about him, right? And I've always been treated like a thief or a criminal or something because I wear hoods, but that's my drip. That's how I wear clothing. Nonetheless, she defended it all the way to the president, right? And I'm like, whoa, we are worth it to her, right? Like that's pretty impressive. So then, but then when I started learning about some of the activity of other wives around the country and how players have done stuff, and she even had dropped a gem where she was like these two rookies that are just coming into the NFL right now that were drafted at the same time. They're starting a youth homelessness shelter, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? So as I'm like researching this with my AI, this is true. Like, and like the things that a lot of these players do in their personal time, a lot of times it's when their families are coordinating it or their
Yes.
loved one, but if they don't have that, they have their agents, and part of their contract is contributions back to society, right?
Right.
But a lot of time that's like going to a NFL sports camp. Like here in Minnesota, it would be with the students in Wyzetta or Minnetonka, where there might be a couple of us out there,
Well, I
5 or
have a
6,
question. I have a
but
question.
but there'd be about 300-400 white kids that be with these NFL players, right? And these NFL
Right.
players definitely are nothing against them, but they're not in the hood doing gardening. They're
Well,
not in the
I have a
suburbs doing
question,
urban
Cliff.
farm. Oh yeah, go ahead. What's that?
So, are you now ready to work with Stephanie?
So what is looking like? Um, Stephanie was like but she verbally has said, "Would you like to come down here in August and do something?" It was when her, Alibama and I were talking, and I was like, "Well, what's that?" And she was telling me about like the honoring of a elder, of a woman from down there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, I mean, honestly, my daughters have been telling me how they really want to go back to Florida. I was like, so if you got something going on, I'd definitely come and do something, right? But then that led into one thing to another, where um my daughters were like, yo, well, since we're gonna go down to Florida for our family vacation this year, why don't we just do it, during December? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that that'd be amazing. I mean, during August. And so that'd be amazing. So my daughters went and started researching on AI about the best time to get the Moana shells from the ocean. And my daughters are 9 and 11.
Uh-huh.
And so, but with that said, they found it to be the first 2 weeks of August. And so we're gonna actually take our family vacation this August, and anybody else is more than welcome to come down. I told Alabama he should definitely slide and just go to Florida. But while down there, of those 2 days, we were gonna go to a community center and do the Nomi Farm Board curriculum with Stephanie, with some students down there, I believe in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Is what Nonetheless, what that does, if you ask me, because in the grant, what I wrote was actually your name, Mrs. Dunn's name, uh Chief Tia's name, and Chief Yanasha's name, about locations that could happen with Nomi Farm Boards directly after Stephanie, where even because each one of these locations, you have the Atlantic Falcons, which you said that their arms throw away or rocks throw away. Then you got the Browns, the home of the first NFL game, the launch, as I was told. Then you have Chief Yanash on his land down there with the Tennessee Titans. Then you keep going. I mean, you got Miss Danielle up there in in
Detroit.
Detroit, right? With Detroit Lions. You feel me? And then up
What?
here in
Okay.
Minneapolis, I mean, like honestly, it would just be like what I was telling AI, like my daughters want to go back to Miami and Florida and Clearwater, Florida and all that stuff annually. I was like, it'd be cool annually. There was something in August in Miami, right? Where maybe the following year we build an Earthship in Miami, right? Designed or something, a little micro resilience hub on a garden plot. But then what Stephanie was saying was that she has 30 acres outside of the city where she'd like to see a campgrounds. But then what I had wrote was like, what if there was a process? What if it was Nomi farm boards to begin with, right? Get the students activated, get a community center or a school activated, a university activated, a sports team activated, and 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 get it all activated through that, like learning the curriculum of eSTEAM J, ecology, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. But then have it so that the eSTEAM J, where eSTEAM takes place the first year with the NOMI or the first visit, or how I don't know, however it looks. Like some people got bread. Maybe someone could take a visit 1 week and 3 weeks later build an Earthship because they got the money to do it, right?
Speaking of
But for
Earthship,
us,
Rashid
Um,
actually wanted to get a little bit more information about a Earthship because he had never heard of it. And Alabama did try to answer his question when you dropped off. Can you elaborate on what an Earthship is a little bit more for Mr. Nuri?
uh, it's a living, breathing organism as long as a human being's inside of it. It is the modern day uh, Southern Iroquois mound for food protection and et cetera, et cetera. It is a dwelling and living space that is pretty much almost second to none. Um, and the versatile of this structure and where it can be built and how it can be built is so it's out of this world. I was staying in earthships on the desert in the mesa of New Mexico. I stayed in earthships in the mountains of Colorado. I stayed in the earthship on a 9,500 foot mountainside of outside of Taos Pueblo in New Mexico. I mean, like, but all these earthships are built out of tires, right? And then they use less concrete by using cans and bottles in non-load bearing walls. And they've incorporated science around it where you actually experience the phenomena of Earth, where you have geothermal, geo battery, solar, solar heating, solar ventilating cooling with cooling vents, non HVAC, non central air unit, yet air conditioned breeze with temperature adjusting up to 102 degrees without any HVAC systems or air conditioners. It's out of this world. It's phenomenal. When Dallas or Houston was shut down because of the power lines and people were starving, people were dying, people were freezing, babies were crying, mothers were hurt, fathers were pissed. Michael Reynolds was sitting in an earthship in Taos, New Mexico, telling the Houston people, "I told you so," as he was picking clementines out of his front atrium and fishing with his grandson
Mhm.
in the atrium in his front living room, right?
Right.
And so, but with that said, it's a living, breathing organism as long as a person is in and out. If you leave it and you're not gonna be there for days, you gotta have someone come through that you trust to maintain it like your flower, like your most favorite flower pot and your most wonderful cat, right?
Mhm.
And or dog or gerbil or bird or whatever have you. But if you're gonna disappear for a long extent of time and there's not gonna be people to visit, you gotta shut the cavity down, you know. And it's gotta turn into a cave, it's gotta go dormant. But when you come back, you can boot it right back up. It's gone through every different natural disaster known to man, including lava, and has survived, where they were able to just knock the lava out of the front, dig it out, re-put some glass in the atrium, burrow new holes for the water tanks and the cooling tubes, and then they're able to reboot the Earthship right back up. It's gone through hurricanes and completely survived apocalyptic style storms and etc. What have you. I have got these Earthships passed for the first time in history in an urban society here in the United States of America in North Minneapolis. I've worked with municipality and county, where county is now my fiscal agent for a grant, where it most likely will not be denied, because Hennepin County gets accepted for all grants. And we are ready to transplant this model into other urban communities throughout the United States where our people are. And so, and how I know how to find our people is to find the red line. When you find the red line,
Yep.
you find our people. And so, but with that, and then we can research from there with the students. So like I got University of Minnesota Sea fans, uh, uh, urban landscape technology and urban reforestry programs where they're getting paid 18.50 an hour, 20 hours a week doing that. I have uh waste management called Green to Go program where they're being paid 16.50 an hour to do that. 20 hours, 15 hours a week. I have hempcrete courses and classes that I do with people. But I have the first hempcrete training in United States history. This timber nigga right here, and I got all them students paid 16.50 an hour to come and learn at 30 hours a week with me. And we've created our own hempcrete recipes where we can come and do installs. I am now confident to come do installs for people. I cannot do a spray install, which is the only code accepted install for hempcrete, unless you were able to rent the machine for me or buy me the machine or whatever. You have to be certified to use this machine, and I'm certified. But I if you do not worry about building codes and requirements and you're willing to do it under the radar, you can also hire me to do it under the table where it's cheaper anyway, and I can come re-insulate a structure. I cannot build a structure brand new that way because it requires building codes and permits unless you are in a region that does not require it. And I would find out by investigating with the students in the University of Minnesota about that. And that's how we would find out. But nonetheless, we have programs around building tiny homes to teach beginning carpentry. It is not a carpentry certification program. It's a uh, it is to take someone who is green or entry level and then to bring them into a level where they be confident to go apply themselves in the field as a handy person or a hand or a subcontractor, or they would have the confidence to go to college to pursue further education like I've had. But nonetheless, the process of building the tiny homes helps end homelessness in regions. But so far, we've only had a few organizations that have hired me to do that. But we're
Oh,
working on it where
mhm.
I believe if we did this the right way, I believe we would not only be able to have these garden boxes with the 1, 2, 3, 4 step, what we could end up having is a curriculum embedded, introducing people to ecology and getting gardens going, a step towards a micro resilience hub, which would be a micro earthship in an urban setting, taking people into season extension and permaculture spaces with urban farms, with hobby farms, which means livestock, not just garden, you know. But then to move people into what others have talked about within the matriarch group, including Stephanie, about going from garden to how she has 30 acres and she would like to establish a camp for youth, but maybe just maybe Danielle's more interested in doing a sex traffic freedom location, but maybe just maybe Chief Yanash is doing something that's more trades and emergency prep,
I have
regardless.
another question.
It
Uh,
would also cause there to be a homelessness uh dent in society to take out homelessness because we could also train those individuals on those locations how to build tiny homes as well. Sorry about that, Mama
Before
Kali.
you ask another question, Mama Kali, don't know exactly how your time is because we're working on 90 minutes. And I know you
Oh
had
well.
your daughters with a
I
party
gotta get
that you're
going
doing.
actually in 15 minutes. I gotta go upstairs and get her as a matter of fact.
Okay, so if there's any other questions for Cliff before he goes, Mama
yes,
Kali, yes?
yes. I wanted to let him know that I had identified a location, possible location. We would have to look into it, but we would have to also. It's a possibility of building the urban farm in Atlanta if we can also get the Falcons to partner. You see, my daughter told me about the location on a HBCU campus, It's right there. It's within walking distance of the place where the stadium where the Falcons play. I mean, like it's a walking distance,
I remember you
and
telling
that
me it was
land
that this location is that close.
is that close to the stadium, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I didn't know of it, and I mentioned what you and I had talked about, and she says, "Oh, well, there's that lot that's right on the HBCU campus." She said it belonged to Morris Brown at one time, but she thinks that Clark Atlanta bought it. It's something that we could look into further, but unless we have gone further to identify what we could do and get, somebody involved so that we could make a presentation to Clark Atlanta or no, or Morris Brown, whichever one owns that particular place. Uh, Not only, I think they could even get funding for it because I did see that some money had been allocated to HBCUs to develop urban farmers, uh, but you know, I don't know if any of them have any kind of program for farming, and there are four HBCUs right there within walking distance of the stadium. And so, it just perked my interest. But we'd have to have something definite in place before we even began, or some kind of
Well,
outline of a
it,
program before we even begin to look
if
into
I
it.
if I may, I actually got an exact direct response to each and everything you just said, literally based upon what's been written up. Okay, and how I've been exposing to people how I found out that my office, where I office out of, is an HBCU cover up, where they've been siphoning information and money out of our community, utilizing an HBCU grant, right? But
Really?
anyway, yeah, where we can have a HBCU campus right here in North Minneapolis because of it, because of what they've done. We now, because I personally office there and I activate the University of Minnesota there out of it, I could turn it on his back and literally turn the North Minneapolis community into a HBCU community. But with that said, first things first. What Alibama and I learned, we both became very, very fast learners about the difference between Stephanie and her women that she kicks it with in the NFL,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So Alibama, you remember what she said, and you had to ask, like, I believe you asked her like 3 times the same question 3 different ways. But you had said, so you're telling me, and she said, yes, that's right. When the NFL throws an event, let's say if the NFL throws an event with Mama Collie and the Atlanta Falcons, right? None of the players got to come, not one, not a one. The family, nothing. They don't have to. But now it started becoming high value and all this, right? But so as I'm talking with my AI about this, I'm like, well, the kids don't give a good toot and hooting about the NFL. They don't even really want to go to the stadium, honestly. It's too overwhelming for them. The students in my community they can't be shoulder to shoulder to somebody like that. They go bonkers inside, right? But anyway, they're in survival mode. All of these students. I went to the Twin Stadium and was overwhelmed for the first time in my life. I was overwhelmed. It ain't mean I'm not gonna go back, nonetheless. But you bring somebody out to the community that looks like them and that fulfilled a dream that they may have in regards to becoming a sports player, but then find out that sports player is an entrepreneur, that sports player has a family, or that sports player has a sister where a sports player does this, has fast cars and travels all the time. That's the things that the community and the students are vibing with. But what has to happen is that these sports players got to be able to come in a way that's really heart to heart, right? With a consistency and build relationship with students. And the best place to do it is your HBCU garden, right?
Right. I mean,
And
it's right there, you know?
and that way, look, check this out. Then you have students who are learning to have healthier habits, healthier friendships, understanding what it really takes to go to the NFL, to understand like the path that it takes, and then it's right there. The HBCU would be right there in the backyard. Like, boom,
Oh,
this is where I
well,
gotta
but
go.
we were talking about, remember, we were talking about tailgate parties for the community.
But
Remember?
that's a different thing. That's my business model. So,
Oh,
but yeah,
okay.
we can talk about that one offline. But online, what the next thing I would say is this, is that because it's not the NFL, it's that um even if it wasn't that space, as long as it's a space that's cl- within some sort of distance of stadium, right? Because you get a space that puts yourself within some sort of distance of stadium. That's how we can go into a entrepreneur path, right? But if we the further we distance that space, that's what I was telling Stephanie. Like Stephanie was like, "Well, we could launch this on my land. I got 30 acres." I was like, that's cool. I was like, but that's not community, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
not even
so
close into a community. Um, I'm
but then I
talking
was like,
about in the heart of the community because,
that
you
that
know, the stadium is in the heart of our community. That's exactly where the stadium is.
in
And
my
the,
in Miami though, in Miami, there are plenty of spaces that are not very prosperous, right? That have some issues, that also has some vacant lots, right? And that's where I'm like, hey, Stephanie, I feel like it'd be best to slap it in one of those neighborhoods, and where there's a lot of high traffic with, people in need, right? Because the really we don't we could put a beautiful garden in Wyzetta all day long, and the people in Wyzetta would know how to utilize it, how to sit by it, and how to operate and function with it. But when you put it into a community like where I'm talking about installing it, there's got to be caretakers there all the time, taking care of it in the community, right? And so that's really what this space becomes. This space becomes more, it's not like, hey, get out of here, get out of here. It's not one of those spaces. It's more like a space like, you got what you need. Now allow the garden host to get back to doing what they need to do. You got to move around now, baby. There's other places to sit in the city, right? And so the kind of garden, like the kind of space that gets developed is kind of like I don't know, like the Israeli temple setup where you have the holy of holies. That's the garden. Like not just anybody go up in there, right? You ain't gonna go up in there and piss all over this garden box. What's wrong with you, bro? You know, but so not just anybody goes in the garden, right? But then you have the holies where like general public, science museum, NFL players and stuff when they're hosting events kind of do that there. But then you got the outer courts, right? And that's like where like the houseless and the housed can walk up and get a cup of soup, a CSA package of vegetables and fruits, a little something to take home, maybe some condoms and tampons and whatever else that hygiene is around, in a cup of water, right? Or a cup of coffee. And and then so have a little space to set up. Now you have a place that where the local Baptist church, the local Jewish temple, the local mosque, the local Boys and Girls Club of America, the local Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts can come and serve the community. The outer court per se, the serving station. Then you can throw small events in the little more, public eventful space where it's kind of like you're almost in the garden, but then that garden area is where you are literally training, the ones, the ones that have been identified, the student body, the the ones that will become the young gardeners that will maintain your resilience hub. Because when it comes to the space, it's not a garden box space. It's not what it is. It's a resilience hub. It's a place for the community to be resilient, and it's our people who's bringing the resiliency, right? Because that's what we are.
Well, at the HBCU campus, which is in the heart of our one of our most dilapidated communities. A lot of those children never get, or the students there never get to interact with the community. They never do. And some of them got their nose in the ass so much that they wouldn't or shouldn't unless they are properly actually
Right.
educated into community service, or just drafted, perhaps even make it a part of their curriculum. You can't
Well,
graduate
so
unless
there's a
until you
way.
until
There's
you serve the community.
So there's all, and that's the other question, or the other thing I had to answer for you. I already have a way to function and operate with each one of these education centers. Whether
Hey, did we lose you again?
I think we did.
Yeah, I have an emergency warning of the weather here. I mean, I don't.
Okay, we just lost her too.
Again, because I think we were already stretching it. He was close to probably having to go and
Yeah.
Okay.
speak
Well,
with
it's
his
good.
daughters and the party. Uh, Big Dog, you back with us? I think he's been popping in and out. I was considering one last thing if we were close to wrapping up was the materials that I've already put in the chat. And let me share one more time this little short. And if y'all want to go over this before we leave, give me a second here.
And Mama Carla, if you need to seek shelter.
Oh
Be-
no. Hey,
Now,
Great
can you
Spirit,
all hear the video?
I ain't even worried. Great Spirit always got my back. We had so much hail here yesterday, unbelievable. Big pieces of hail. Um, And I think it went all the way out to Decatur because I told you about my Moorish friend who came to cut my grass. Yes, today he came. He told me that they got hail yesterday too. So it was
oh
wide.
wow.
But there's thunder and lightning. Turned out my internet went down and everything. I had to try to find my way back. Okay, but I am back. But I'm excited about the things that Cliff talked about because I'm very aware of the earthships. I actually know a person personally who went to the same school that Cliff went to out there in New Mexico. You know, I
Okay.
know.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So you can
Okay,
see
so
the video.
I'm finished. Yeah,
All right.
we can see the video now.
All right, folks. Yeah, it's time for me to go. I appreciate this opportunity to be with everyone, and I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thank you.
Rashid,
Peace be
before
unto
you
you.
leave, that's the whole point of my sharing the video. Are you going to be able to follow up with Wakita and with Shirley Sherrod? Because I also wanted your comments on this document. So if you're about to leave, you know about the video. Can you see the document on screen?
I
Chat.
The Congressional Black
Oh,
Caucus.
yeah, Black Caucus Foundation.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably were already aware of it, but what's your position on this? If you see what the content says.
I I'm not understanding the question, brother. What do you ask? What do you want? What are you asking me?
Well,
You
did
give
you
me
need
an
me to
opinion
read it?
about
That's
this?
why I
I
was
haven't read
asking
it,
if
so
you
I
said,
don't know what's
yeah.
up.
Well, if you'd like
No,
for
no,
me
I
to
can
read
see.
it,
I got it right here.
gotcha. That's why I
No, can
said
you
if you
send it
could
to
see
me?
it.
I can go over it. And
Hmm. Well, if you wanted to comment, I'm just
no,
scrolling down
email it
to
to me.
sure, but just because we are being viewed by others, I was saying if you wanted to comment on that from your past
What,
experience with the USDA and where
what's
things
the
stand
question?
currently. Well, this is their supposed statement here of
Alabama?
supporting. Can you hear me?
There's a delay.
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. Okay, no, I can hear you very well, but I'm not clear on the question you asked. If you're asking me to comment on this document, I need to read it. Okay, if you have a question
Gotcha.
you'd like to ask me, I'd be glad to address.
Well, what's your opinion about the Black Congressional Black Caucus and supporting the Black farmers? This is claiming to say that
I don't
in the
have any
heading.
I don't have let me answer. I have no confidence whatsoever in anything that the government does. None.
Thank
We
you.
have to do for self. And if we keep dependent, looking for them to do something for us, that's why all these people are screaming about Donald Trump. Donald Trump told us exactly what he was going to do, and he's doing it. And I think that's the best thing that's happened for America in a long time because it's going to force people to stand up. What do you believe in? What are you going to do to make this country a better place? Uh, so to look to the U.S. government to do for us, I don't. Not at all.
I totally agree. They
I
ain't
know
gonna
that's
do nothing. And,
Okay, I
the
appreciate
US
what you're saying, Rashid. So if you did have to leave, I would hope that you would consider circling back with Ms. Sherrod and Wakita when y'all can, so that we can effectively discuss
I,
what things may be going on with her as well.
can you yeah can you download not download forward this document to me so I can read it?
Yeah, you can see it on screen, or you just go to their website. It's Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah,
All I
but
was
I'm
doing
getting
was
ready to
showing what
hang
they.
up.
No, I got you.
Brother
I got you. I got
Alabama,
you.
I'm getting
I got you. I heard what you
all right,
said.
cool. Peace be unto you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Peace.
Uh,
okay,
I
Steve,
don't know if it was transferred to you, Chief Taya, or if Big Dog is back. I was really only playing this last 2 minutes here about that whole issue that was raised.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. I've been listening in the whole time, everybody. Respect to everybody.
Okay, so we're ready to close out now.
I'm here as well, brother.
Can anyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out. This was a very intriguing conversation, and thank for all of the guests that we had tonight. I'm really excited and looking forward to this collaboration with Cliff the Gorilla Gardener and the NFL Wives to kick off because what he's doing needs to be replicated in all the communities across the nation. So stay tuned for future updates for Cliff and Miss Stephanie, who is the president of the NFL Sisters and Wives and Mothers. And we hope to see you next time. Thank you.
So stay tuned for.
thank you.
All right, are we watching a video or no?
Did we lose Alabama?
I think he's still here. Is he going to?
Yeah, he's
I
still
think
there.
he's here. Is he going to show the video again?
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. And I did say
Can
to
you hear me?
Okay, now we
now we
can.
do. Yeah, now,
No, well, you didn't seem like y'all heard anything I said or the video. So
no, we didn't.
No, we didn't hear any of that.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
we lost your audio. Yeah, I think we lost it again.
Yeah.
It's yeah, pretty volatile tonight with these different instruments.
Got it.
Are you having a storm in your area, Wakita?
Not yet. I'm hoping we get some rain. We've
It's a
been
strain in my room.
promising rain has been
Turn the
promised for
light
4 days
on
and we
the
haven't done
screen.
anything.
Now listen, be very
Well,
careful.
honey,
You
we
ain't get break
had
my
our share
easy.
somebody
Click.
else.
If that one, listen to me. If that one don't work, click the other one. Because one for the fan, one for the light. And make sure the light is switched on.
Well, we'll see.
DA,
Yeah.
they were denied, while white farmers got approved. In 1983, the USDA took their land
can you hear
and
that?
gave them nothing in
Yes.
return. 30 years later, during the
Yes, we
Pigford
did.
versus Glickman case, new communities won their fight. In 2009, they were awarded $12.8 million, the largest settlement ever given to black farmers. What they built was stolen. But their dignity was never for sale. If this happened to your family, what would you have done? This is our history. Follow for more untold stories because this journey is just beginning. America took 5,700 acres from black farmers, then paid them back 30 years later. In 1969, 12 black farmers in southwest Georgia came together with a vision to own land together. They called it New Communities. 5,700 acres, the largest black-owned plot in the country. A farm, a collective, a dream. Led by civil rights activist Slater King of Albany, they studied land laws in Israel, built a sugarcane mill, raised grapes, sold crops. They were building something no one had seen, a land trust for black freedom. Then came the drought, twice. And when they asked the USDA for help, they were denied, while white farmers got approved. In 1983, the USDA took their land and gave them nothing in return. 30 years later, during the Pigford versus Glickman case, new communities won their fight. In 2009, they were awarded $12.8 million, the largest settlement ever given to black farmers. What they built was stolen. But their dignity was never for sale. If this happened to your family, what would you have done? This is
So if y'all can hear that, I'm a bit concerned that we don't have enough people. I'm not sure how many are still in the audience that are still listening. But again, if you're going to participate, you can't be on the sidelines. You know, this was already something that was done in 1969. And when you do get a chance to circle back with Rashid and Miss Sherrod, which I hope she will make herself available, my understanding from him, they have barely reclaimed 1,600 out of over 6,000 acres.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
I don't want to participate in this kind of going back and forth, going in circles like a dog chasing his tail. We either going to get on the land or we're going to sit down and shut up. That's just my personal opinion. But if you ladies have nothing else to share, if you want to wrap that up, Big Dog, I guess it's on you, man. If you want to close out with music, I thank you all for coming tonight, and we shall see what happens for you ladies next week.
All righty.
Thank all for coming.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Or you probably thank you, everyone.
You're welcome, Mama Kylie. It was
Okay.
indeed a
We'll be
pleasure.
talking. We will be talking. Oh, we'll be talking on Sunday. Great.
Yes.
Okay.
hmm
All right. Peace, everybody.
Peace,
All right.
peace.
Peace
Peace
and
and
love.
love.
Yeah, much
All
love
right.
to everybody on the panel, everybody that participated. Shout out to chat real quick. Phenomenal Mommy, Hiker, Pimped Out Rides, Old Growth, Coast Redwood, Sharice, the realist. My brother D. Allen Warren, Reclassified, Black White Indian, my brothers. Najee Skates, Talk Your Talk Media, Greedy Vegan. My brother Keith Norfolk, Hiker. Brother Keith Lamont, Vibrant Lords, much love and respect to all of y'all. Roger W., Boot Camp. Appreciate everybody that tapped in. Brother Knowledge, Focus Minds, Ant, Straight Smoke, Garrison, Rumham Solo. Everybody have a good night, man. Flat motherfucking power to the Flat Power family. If anybody is interested in the Beginning Farmers Program, email myself. Or we have a meeting every Sunday afternoon where we walk people through the Beginning Farmers process. If you're interested, hit my email or get with Alabama, get with somebody, get with me. All right, everybody, y'all have a good night. I ain't gonna play no music to end it. I can't. Much love, much respect to everybody. Anytime anybody needs the platform, I'm an email or a phone call away. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you much, brother. Peace and
In
love.
closing, if nobody told y'all they love y'all, OG and his family love y'all. I love y'all. Peace out, everybody.
All right. Much peace and love always.